Welcome, everyone, to the Eat Fresh Veggies Podcast. This is the first episode of the podcast, and I'd like to thank everyone for supporting this first episode. And please check out the description for ways that you can support the podcast and support future episodes. Today's first episode is going to be about why plant-based eating is crucial to Black liberation. So a little bit about me. I've been vegan for about 9 years, and I have been doing vegan advocacy work for about 8 years, going on 8 years now. I have done nationwide tours with various organizations, traveling the country and, teaching people about plant-based eating. I've done community management and events organizing, and I've organized a lot of community events within my own local neighborhood, as well as like national campaigns. And I'm also opening a consultation soon. So if you are interested in learning about plant-based eating, anywhere from meal planning to grocery shopping tips to even how to be a vegan advocate yourself, please email me. You can check out my email in the description below. But yeah, if you are interested in learning more, the first consultation is free. So please email me if you are interested in a first free consultation. So we're just going to hop right into it. So for this episode, we are going to be exploring why plant-based eating and a vegan lifestyle is important, not only in the current time of our Black community, but for the future of Black liberation. So for the first part of this episode, I really want to clarify what is plant-based eating in the Black community. It goes by various names. Afro-veganism, is a really well-used description of Black people who identify as vegan. But traditional African foods and African-influenced foods consisted of a lot of plant-based foods. Teff, millet, teff, which is what injera is made out of, barley, yams, roots, various types of vegetables like cassava, different types of squashes, and even figs, especially in northern Africa, was really a more consumed foods. And even though meat was eaten, it wasn't eaten anywhere near as often as it is in America. In America, especially, as well as like other like European countries where Black people reside, there is a heavy consumption of meat, sometimes up to like 3 or 4 times a day. But in more like traditional Africa, especially before colonization, there was more of a focus on plant-based foods because they were just more reliable to eat. I mean, when it came to like hunting animals, they didn't always catch what they ate. So it was more reliable to like grow your food or to like forage your food, versus like hunting an animal every day. And then of course we get into, the issue of like preserving it because it was like before refrigeration. So it was just easier to grow and eat plants. Also different types of like nuts and seeds and legumes, etc. However, when our ancestors were forced into human trafficking and brought to America, they were not able to have access to their food. They weren't able to have access to their food, which is part of their culture. In fact, it was actually stripped from them, and they were neglected from being able to grow some of the foods that, like we described, the vegetables and etc. So they were forced to eat scraps, organs, bones, basically trash. Some of this food was even rotten when it was given to them. These scraps came from the scraps of their master. So it's really tied into why we have such a reliance on this food and why it is still being forced into our community today, which has led to increasingly rising numbers of type 2 diabetes and obesity and heart disease and various heart issues within the Black community. It's not just because they were forced upon our ancestors. They are also a product of systemic racism and the continued disempowerment of our people. I like to call these foods survival foods. Sometimes we call them soul food. I'm sure we've heard of that before, but I like to call them survival foods because these foods were born out of survival. They were born out of a stripping of our culture, and they were forced upon our people, in which our people were forced to make it taste good. That's why there's so much salt and so much sugar in some of these foods, is because, it was rotten food. It was old food. It was scraps, and there was such an effort put into salting it down and sugaring it up to make it taste decent and make it palatable. And some of these foods we celebrate today, such as like holidays, Easter dinner, Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving, are holidays in which are European holidays in which our people participate in which there's a large gorging of food. And a lot of these foods that are being feasted upon are foods that are detrimental to our culture. A lot of these foods that are consumed in our community that have been linked to rising numbers of various ailments are linked to a false sense of security. Unfortunately, these foods have been somewhat accepted in our community, even though they are what is destroying our community. If we can break this false sense of security that we identify in foods that are bent on our destruction, is when we can start to elevate and have clarity into permanent strategies of Black liberation. So why is food Black liberation? There's so many things to fight for. There's so many things that we are faced against. And unfortunately, food gets dropped by the wayside, even though there are plenty of vegan advocates. I know them personally, and I am one, who are advocating for food in the Black community, or healthy eating in the Black community. It has yet to truly be a national discussion. This lack of discussion is a perversion of our culture. So much of the foods that that we eat come from our ancestors, yet they have been colonized and manipulated to be a part of our destruction. Neglecting plant-based eating is neglecting a part of who we are. It is a disconnection from our heritage. Because so many of these foods came from and have been eaten and consumed within our community for hundreds of thousands of years, to neglect the importance that plant-based eating has in our liberation is a disconnection from one of the most impactful ways that colonization has affected who we are. And it's important in our community because the lack of plant-based eating and healthy eating is truly getting rid of our warriors. Various types of sicknesses, as I already listed, run rampant throughout our community, and they are passed down generation to our kids. I feel as if plant-based eating in the Black community can cause a chain reaction of true change. It adds a sense of clarity and awareness to some of the issues that we have been blinded with. And I truly mean figuratively and literally speaking, blinded from. A lot of these foods that are consumed in our community that have been linked to a lot of our sicknesses have been linked to delays in brain development, delays in physical development, and they have been linked to very preventable diseases. So by shifting ourselves and learning more about the foods that are more intrinsic and more native to our systems, we can start birthing healthier children, and in turn birthing a healthier future. Plant-based eating in the Black community is a source of healing because a high meat, high dairy, and high salt diet has caused so much pain in our community, from losing loved ones to losing our own health. By just having more of an awareness of what we eat, I'm a true advocate of plant-based eating. However, I understand the transition process that many of us have to go through, and I went through it myself. I didn't go vegan overnight, but I think it's worth just having the discussion and making the discussion a national effort. I'd like to thank everyone for being a part of this first episode. I just wanted to give everyone an introduction into what this channel is going to be about and some of the topics that we are going to be discussing. If you would like to be a part of some of the ideas that are come up with for this show, please comment below. I mean, tell me some of the areas in which that bother you, or that you would like me to research and to talk about on this channel. But some of the other things we're going to be talking about is how to have Black self-sustaining neighborhoods, current events that are happening within our community and affecting our community, as well as many ways that you can participate and you can make a change and help increase this discussion within our circles. Thank you again for everyone for supporting this channel. Please check out the description below for ways that you can get involved. And again, if you are interested in a free vegan consultation with me, please contact me below. Please follow me on social media. My Instagram is at Eat Fresh Veggies. And you can also find that link again in the description below. And I look forward to